Address to the Nation by Tsar Vladimir, December 1944. My dear countrymen, high were our hopes that this year of 1944 would see the end of wars, after the Entente and International, under our mediation, negotiated the end of hostilities. We were looking at the celebration of the birth of Christ and the New Year in January with elation and the expectation of peace. Yet once again the drums of war sound. Once again our men are called to arms. Why, you ask, with all rights, does the motherland demand this of you? Who, you ask, threatens our borders? While the leadership of the Entente, Queen Maria of Portugal, King Javier of Spain, King Edward of Canada, President de la Roque of France, and President Warren of the United States of America proudly presented their signatures under the Treaty of Tilsit, they had already been planning attacks on neutral countries they, in their hubris, deemed rightfully theirs. It is the old spectre of colonialism which had led us into the Weltkrieg that still rears its ugly head. Japan has shed the blood of millions in China. Portugal, with the assistance of the French military, has overrun the new independent states in Central Africa, and now they have set their eyes on the riches of Congo, ever the playground of kings. The United States have occupied Mexico after a brutal invasion, and have all of Central America under their thumb, their businesses eager to extract the riches as colonizers have done for hundreds of years. Why then, you ask, must we fight? Why send our men to die in foreign countries? For two reasons, my brothers and sisters. Because it is right to fight for those who cannot defend themselves. If Russia does not stand up for freedom in the world, who will? And in the end, when all else have fallen to the Entente and they stand on our borders, who do we call upon then, if we are to abandon them now? We do not dictate peoples how to live, or who they wish to rule them, but we must use our might now to stop the Entente's colonial rampage, lest they one day stand on our door, ready to rule us. Given that we have very little information about the enemy intentions, but it has become clear that the Entente is on the warpath and seeks to dominate Africa as well as the Americas and Western Europe as well, with a potential to drive into territories that we consider friendly or at least liberated and re-establish their colonial ambitions. That means we are going to deploy some operatives, because we're no longer going to be fighting in China for the time being anyway for a bit, while we are reorienting ourselves towards countering the Entente's aggression. So we'll send Smirnova and Bystroljotov into the Portuguese colonies. And we're sending Sabanauskas and Bazna into France, because that is likely going to be the first European front where things are going to come to a head. That means we still have Tarasov in Tokyo, and we've got Andreeva on a mission to rescue our captured German operative, Gertrud Meyer, who has been imprisoned in Japan. So with that, we'll reorient the intelligence services quite a bit. Also, I've been creating a few more air wings. We're training up 8 additional close air support wings, 5 naval bomber wings, and we're creating 10 additional scout wings. And we are sending the fighter wings that are currently deployed in the east. We'll be sending these over towards the European front as well. Unfortunately, we have relatively little in terms of air bases available in Africa that we could use. So the Kenyan air bases are simply going to be too far away to do anything sensible. But if Portugal becomes aggressive towards the north, because Kenya is part of the Moscow Accord, we could use these air bases here. So it might actually be worth building up some radar stations here too. Although with level 2 radar is not going to do anything, so not an awful lot to do. Probably more important to complete the fortifications along the border lines and do that first. All right, the troops, as the comment section has so astutely noticed, there has been an administrative error in that we're giving them the wrong kind of equipment. Not to worry, we simply changed the division template because I am planning to insta-deploy these anyway, because we don't know exactly how soon Portugal is going to invade Congo, but we'll try at least to bring some troops there in the time available. So we're going to deploy all of these troops, and all of these troops. That means they are going to be not completely trained, but they will. Do we have an African theater? We do not, but we should be able to create one and just add that to it. So let's make a new theater that is going to be the African theater, and we're going to need somebody to lead these troops. We are, I believe, a little short on field marshals, but that's something we'll deal with in a second. Let's find a capable general, and we do. Yeah, before I forget again, we obviously do need to change these into the African division, which is not a problem. They will simply be re-equipped with the necessary equipment. So all of these troops will be deployed towards. Can I actually deploy them to Congo? Not yet, but I will have to deploy them. I will have to deploy them into Egypt. We have some availability at Malakai. So we'll bring the troops there, and we'll have them exercise for now until the time comes when we actually have to deploy to Congo. We might actually send a few of them. Nigeria isn't going to help because Cameroon obviously is not going to be part of this, so we can't easily. We would have to move by sea towards Congo, and that is not trivial. So instead, unfortunately, we will have to march out of Egypt and see if we can make our way towards Leopoldville before Congo falls. If it falls, we will relaunch the liberation out of Egypt. The bigger problem with that, and that would obviously bring Kenya in as well, but Tanzania and Uganda not so much, because they are neutral countries, which make the assault out of Egypt relatively difficult. So we might as well begin preparations for a potential incursion into Congo. And I think for that, let's see where exactly. This is the front line. So we could build a supply position here. That is going to take a while, but that would allow us a vector out of Egypt into Congo, rather than having to go for a naval invasion into the Portuguese-held territories. The other alternative would be an invasion out of Kenya into the eastern coast of the Portugal possessions here and liberate them. But we'll get that underway. This is something that's been difficult to begin with, so we'll have to prioritize that, because that is going to take a while to build these things. But the other thing we need obviously is a railway connection there, and ideally we'll have better railways. I'm going to do this by hand simply because I can't easily. Not sure exactly where we need to go from here. We'll do it. We'll do it like this for now, and that should be sufficient for a supply run. We'll see if there are any gaps. This might potentially be a gap in the lines here, but we'll see, because that might go into Moscow by land, or if it uses the sea route. Anyway, so we'll prioritize all of these works for now. And then, get that underway. And bring the troops already here for preparation of an incursion into Congo, and hopefully either to liberate them or to hold back the invaders. Not sure we can still We can't actually send any material support because they would have to be at war, and they're not part of the Moscow. Not part of the Moscow Accord. So it's entirely possible that we will have to fight our way through the hinterland here, but we'll see. We'll see what comes. The most important part is that we'll have the troops in theater. That said, it can't harm to strengthen our regional allies, especially Kenya, Nigeria, and the Egyptian Republic. So I'm going to start offloading some of the older equipment. I've got heaps from both old production and foreign equipment. So I'm going to start offloading that into these states and make sure that that they're able to train up their own armed forces to resist especially Gold Coast Nigeria, to resist the French Republic's incursion. In fact, we may actually. They do have some troops. They do have some troops by themselves already, so that's not too terrible. But it might actually, at some point, I've currently removed the divisions from this position here. But we might deploy actually some of the Africa divisions into. This is all flat terrain. But we might actually divert a few divisions here into Nigeria and bolster their lines a little bit. All right, so we bring 6 divisions in, and that should help hold the northern line, and then the rest can go into Egypt for the potential support of Congo if we can get there in time. Gold Coast is relatively heavily armed as it is, so they should be doing all right. But yeah, I'll be sending additional equipment as well, and we might as well also start beginning construction of airbase. There is an airbase. There are some air bases here in the area, so we can improve these a little bit with the prospect of future engagements here, and that allows them also to build up more of their own air force. So I'll go through that, dispatch all the equipment into the Central African states, because that's going to be the major front line here. And then in Europe, we've got already significant numbers of troops on the front lines. I don't think that the Entente is going to break through here. But you never know, especially what the Americans might do. As such, having a capable navy is going to be an important part as well. So making sure that everything actually gets repaired is another problem. Yeah, that's a bug I actually run into, that I had some on repair and they ended up not being repaired. So quite irritating that. I do have still 3 dockyards, which means I can run a few more refits on some of the destroyers. Well, I'll just go through and get these queued up for refits for the more modern variant of them. They should be quick refits, so we get that all underway. And by the time all the refits are done, I think we'll have the necessary research to begin building up a more capable Atlantic and Pacific fleet. All right, that means we have all done. That means we have one more assault, one more run, and the attack is going towards Tianjin. We can't actually get to the front lines to plan that properly because we come under constant vicious assault by the Japanese. I believe it's a good time to actually look at the Argentinians and the British are actually at war. So the Union of Britain and Norway are at war with the Buenos Aires-Lima axis. Interesting. I don't see how either of them, and Finland as well, well, that we know, but and Wallonia too. So that's interesting. I didn't know that Wallonia was still engaged in their own personal war with the British, but yeah. Bigger problems. So what was I going to do? Yes, I was going to look at the war here. Japan has lost a very substantial amount of troops at this point, 3 million. But in total, the losses on the Chinese United Front have been higher. And Germany East Asia is involved in this as well still. So more fires to eventually put out. We will be taking on Japan, I believe, at some point. But for now, we'll have to reorient towards the European front and make sure that everything gets under control. So we're pushing out the last defenders from this forest here with the help of the Air Force, and once we're holding this position, then we can alleviate the pressure, and we're going to send the tanks in trying to cross the bridge and take Tianjin. So that's the plan. Everyone's accepting our material support. That hasn't accepted yet. So let's push the last remaining forces out here. That should not be a problem. And then there we go. Then we can launch the armored assault while simultaneously launching a diversionary attack once the tanks are in place from the forested area here in the south. So the Japanese are consistently trying to reinforce, and that obviously now we have to defend first. But the plan is, this is the problem here. We might, defend first, get these attacks over, and then launch the counterattack in both directions, while using the mechanized infantry to. Okay, mechanized infantry has defeated the Japanese counterattack and is immediately going to go for a pinning attack. Meanwhile, the tanks are going to launch the counter assault into Tianjin. Now, can we break this? Is the big question, and it's going to have to come down. The firepower of the tanks is not going to be enough, but it's going to have to come down to the staying power and to the possibilities of the air attacks supporting this battle. Now, in the north, obviously, I'm also not expecting to break these lines, but hopefully the mechanized troops can hold them long enough that we're not getting bogged down in counterattacks from the north, and we can manage to break the defenders here. In a rapid fashion with the help of all available air forces. The big problem is the lack of combat width here, which means that we're not easily going to be able to do this. However, interestingly enough, it looks like while the heavy tanks are bombarding the crossings towards Tianjin, it looks like the mechanized brigades are actually breaking through in the north. Now that would be massive, because then we could if we can take the other side of the river, that means we are completely clearing the tank now, the flank. Now the Japanese have rushed the 135th in, and but it is insufficiently armored. 44 armor? Yeah, that's not going to hold. Is insufficiently armored, so we should still be able to break this. Now, obviously, they're going to viciously try to cut us off there, and they are reinforcing rapidly as they go. But this operation is fulfilling its objective of clearing of keeping the flanks clear for the armored divisions to push in, and the aircraft are doing the job here. So, despite reinforcements flooding in consistently from all directions, we are slowly but surely grinding down the defenders here, I believe, and we just have to keep the pressure up in the north and push the enemy troops out from there while keeping the pressure on in Tianjin. And can we push the exhausted defenders off the lines here quickly enough? One more before they reinforce, while obviously we are being counterattacked, which is never helpful. But it's been close again. Okay, not quite, but we are trying. The counterattack is being held by the 13th Armored, which is starting to run. Our divisions are starting to run relatively low, and unfortunately, despite the assistance, the Japanese counterattack has managed to push our troops out on the southern sector, which means that we are now that we have been pushed back, and we'll be retaking this position. But I think the Chinese infantry has been able to retake the position. But all in all, we are once again beaten back, and we'll once again once more setting up for a second attempt. We had almost made it through. We could try again to break through towards Beijing instead, just because we have additional combat width here. So we'll try to fall back the mechanized infantry. We're rolling back the tanks for refuel and rearmament, leaving the infantry to hold the lines here. But it is becoming very, very close. Unfortunately, the situation that was indeed our last attack, our last attempt, and we almost made it through, almost. But meanwhile, Portugal has sent a diplomatic missive that, as of the 2nd of January 1945, 3 a.m., they have declared war on the Congo, which they consider their colonial possession. And with that, our guarantee comes into place. And Congo has immediately contacted us to assist with the war effort, and we will accept. And as such, we are once more at war with, for now, just with Portugal, but potentially with the rest of the Entente as well. Now, where do we have? Where are the African troops? They are still on the move. The rest of them. Why are you up here? You are supposed to make your way towards the front lines. There we go. All right. Move. The troops are still on the move towards the front lines. That means we are going to call in Egypt for now, and they can potentially assist with, because they're very close by, so they can and they're not directly threatened by the Entente at this point, I believe. Well, they are technically, but yeah, they would technically be okay. They're technically be threatened by the French Republic because they have a direct border. So, calling Egypt for the defense of most of our divisions are still moving towards the forward lines. So I believe with that we can actually now redeploy them into everything that is not moving towards Nigeria. Or where did I send them? Did I send them? Yeah, I sent them to Nigeria. Everything that's not moving towards Nigeria is going to be sent towards a potential front line now. Can we? Interestingly, we can't. We should be able to. Maybe once we have officially joined. So, okay. For now, we're sending them to the front. We're sending them to the front here. And yeah, make your way there. But once we have officially joined, I believe this we should be able to send troops into Congo as well, given that we are now fighting on the same side. Where is Congo? Anyway, we'll get to that. But that also means that our volunteer forces are now back in transfer. So the troops on the Japanese side, in the Chinese front, are no longer able to participate, which means we are going to return the air wings as well, which have been, we've got 12 close air support wings. They are going to go into the European theater for now. And 7 fighter wings. We could leave them here for a potential war against Japan. I might split them up. So we'll send half of the air wings over to, what is this, fighter wings. So they will go over here. Actually, no, these were, what are these? Oh, this is close air support. Okay, no, then they need to go into this group. There we go. And they can move towards the European flank for now, where we have some space. And I'll leave the rest here for. I'll bring them over to Vladivostok for a potential for the potential of war with Japan. All right, we have a trait in BMZ. That was what was that? Armored trains. That was the only one we're using that for? Okay, so that has just been accrued. Do we have anything for... we can reduce the production cost, rocket artillery, railway gun. We can get 2 free railway guns. Not that we need them, I think. We can build them. We're building the super heavy ones anyway. So this is rocket artillery. Rocket artillery, don't need that. This would be rocket artillery as well. None of this makes much of a difference. Okay, I think the only thing that's really actually sensible here is to get 2 railway guns. All right, let's get 2 free railway guns. We got that done. And with that, we'll see how the French will react. We still have hopes that that the rest of the Entente might actually denounce this aggression by Portugal. So we will see how that goes. But for now, everyone's moving into position, and we will see how quickly enemy troops are going to flood into Congo. We could now send material support. What do we know about Congo? Not an awful lot. They have a fair amount of troops. I don't know how long they can last though. That's the bigger question, because they have no divisions. So we could attempt to send some rifles there. I might actually do that. Specifically some of the older stuff some of the older foreign stuff that we've got laying around, although it's only going to fall into Portuguese hands if they end up taking it. So I don't want to send anything modern, but we'll send some old rifles to Congo for now to assist them with their military situation. But I'm hoping that we will actually get troops there in time to do something. All right, Canada and France have joined, which means that now we are in the position that we are at war with France and Canada. That means we are going to begin. So currently, no enemy aircraft in the zone, but we'll begin by launching aerial superiority operations, and we've got. I should have some more naval bombers. I believe most of them are over in the Pacific region, so we'll send them over the channel on naval strikes, just for any potential shipping that they can interdict. That would cover the northern coast of France, and we've got an additional sector of scout planes here. We've got 7 additional fighter wings that we can get onto the southern French air zone. And we do have to break up these scout wings quite a little bit more, so I can send probably 2 of them over here for additional reconnaissance over northern France. And we use the other 4 for the southern France region for air recon as well. And we've got a few transport wings here just in case we want to do anything. We want to do anything with the. We want to do anything with our paratroopers. I've got additional scout wings here as well, so I will bring some more into one of the forward air bases, and we'll get additional recon over northern France, and we'll see what that's going to look like. I might actually divert 4 of them over into Dunkirk, and they can't do naval recon, I believe. I'm not entirely certain. Yeah, this should work as well. So we'll send some over for reconnaissance on that front. The naval bombers have the range, and we're training up additional naval bomber wings here as well, actually. These are reasonably well trained, so I think we can start sending these towards Amsterdam and begin naval strikes in the English Channel and take out, or alternatively, actually we might send these to Italy. We send them to Rome, begin naval strikes in the sea here. So that should give us some additional capabilities of securing the fleet, which is currently building up, and we're waiting for additional ships to become available. All right, yeah, this all we have been as ready as we potentially could be, but for now the French are at war with us, but they're not at war yet with the European states. So we're still waiting for some additional troops, aircraft, and everything to come into position before we begin opening hostilities in earnest. For now, we don't have a direct border with France, so it's going to be more of a skirmish situation. Right, the big question now is going to be how quickly can the African troops make their way here, and can we assist Congo with? Can we assist Congo in time with holding back the enemy? Extremely troubling news are coming out of Persia, one of our oldest allies since the break of the old Ottoman Empire. Persia apparently is considering, from what we hear, to break our pact, to break out of the Moscow Pact, to use the confrontation with the Entente to establish their own independent dominion in the Middle East, and for that they are planning to invade Afghanistan against against the explicit rules of the Moscow Accord that no country must attack another country within the accord without any kind of agreement from the accord. So that is throwing a bit of a spanner in the wrench, spanner in the works here, which means we are potentially looking at at combat on our borders, which means I am going to have to redeploy the 5th Army, which is currently in Italy, where it's actually needed. So in that case, do we have any additional troops we could... I need Rostovsky's troops in Finland as well. I might have to redeploy forces from Asia, which is not what I want to. I could redeploy Kutepov's troops right now. But I would really prefer to having some forces in the region for a potential conflict here with Japan. Alternatively, do we have anybody we can deploy on the quick? We have a guards division army that we can deploy to the Persian border for now, and I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 zones. So if we deploy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 divisions for now, just to secure the front lines. Let the rest train, and we'll eventually get them on the lines there as well. But this is going to be a new army, 9th Army, which is going to deploy along the lines here. For securing against Persian aggression, which is the last thing I really want. Why do we have this one mountain division in Petrograd here under Shatilov? That is not quite where they need to be. Bring them back to the 5th, and we've got the 9th Army now under Wrangel himself on the Persian front, potentially for a potential intervention against Persia should they declare war. We could deploy Kanzin on that, or Letvitov. I'm thinking I'm going to send Letvitov for now. Oh, he's already assigned. Hang on. Didn't look like. We'll send Kanzin then. Okay, there we go. So we'll get additional troops, but it's going to take time, and it looks like the Moscow Accord might fracture due to to sudden Persian demands, which is going to be a huge problem supply-wise as well, which means we are going to have to keep the Mediterranean clear, because we are going to lose our access through our supply routes through Egypt. So things getting very, very interesting very rapidly. Okay, troops on the move. So far, no visible incursions from Portugal into Congo, but we will see. We will see what else we can get done. And obviously, we do need to manage somehow to get the troops into Nigeria as well in time. So time will tell. The United States and basically the rest of the Entente have joined the war. We might be able to overrule the Persian. We might be able to overrule the Persian ambitions by calling them into the war, because that way I don't think they can actually launch their own planned attacks. I'm still going to deploy the troops there just in case, but we are going to call. Where are they? Okay, we're calling Persia into the war because the whole of the Entente has basically joined now, which means we will need to open up the European front as well. I just want to make sure that we have all available aircraft in theater, and I believe we do. Let's see what the air battle has already begun. We should have more than 400 fighters here. We're currently taking on some French aircraft here, and southern France has absolutely nothing. So we may as well focus the fighter wings north, and begin grinding down whatever air force they have in theater. All right, troops are. We've got the. Now that it comes to it, we've got the 6th Army here, but some of the... actually, why are these troops moving over here? They were not supposed to do that. They were supposed to be... they were supposed to go on the lines here. All right, let's get the Svyatogors into the war and give the French a rude awakening. We'll break through their defensive lines in the north. And we will simply deploy these. We'll concentrate these here. That's 2. Yeah, concentrate these divisions here for a run towards Paris, and the same goes for the rest of the troops that are currently stationed on this front line. It's not ideal because they are anti-tank divisions. But it's what we have, and we will make do. So, while everyone, how well are they still waiting for? They're still waiting for self-propelled artillery, and and self-propelled anti-airs, where we are actually notably behind. Interestingly enough, I thought I had actually a significant stockpiles of these things, but and we're short on. Why are we short on tungsten? Let's trade for some tungsten. Preferably not with German East Asia. Let's trade with India and sort out the tungsten problems. So we might need to reduce the amount of flame tanks that we're producing, and get a bit more into. In fact, we can probably kill the. I've already only got one factory on the light tank, so we should have enough on these. I think we can completely eliminate that. Self-propelled anti-air, definitely. Let's make that 20, and let's make that 30 here. We have a good amount of heavy tanks. So how long is this gonna? This is gonna take a while to reinforce the lines here. I'm gonna end the T50 line here, and I'm going to reduce the flame tanks to 20. Which is still going to leave some factories to be desired. So We have good stockpiles on these to deal with losses. So I think everything else we can probably also reduce the what's our infantry equipment stockpile at this point? I think which one are we looking at? It's the PPSH2-A. That's the one we want to have enough of. So yeah, we don't have a massive amount of these. We have a massive amount of old equipment. So if that is the line here that is basically upcycling this. They're creating about 150 per day. No, they're turning it into infantry equipment 2, and this one is the one upcycling it into infantry equipment 3. Yeah, that's the round that it works. So we've got massive amounts of old equipment that we are upcycling. So I think I'm going to leave that at 25, but we might have to schedule how many we need. 14 additional military factories. So let's get that under construction over in Russia, wherever we have some availability. And that should about do it. I do have to prioritize these somewhat so we can get the deficiencies in heavy equipment under control. So let's get these moving up to the top. But after they are still included. Okay, so we're still good. We're still building up a bit more for the naval capacity. But hopefully once we have Persia active in the war, they can no longer enact their plans of their own expansion. Yeah, I'm disappointed with the Persians here. So once we have called everybody into the war, right now, right now we're still waiting for the response. Did I press the call all button? Oh no, I didn't yet. Yeah. But I think we've got everything where we want it to be. No, I needed to get the 6th Army still engaged. So let's give the rest of the 6th Army their breakthrough lines here. Where's the ideal terrain for a breakout into open France? I think near Luxembourg here. So we'll get the. Where are you people heading? This is some additional tanks that are coming into the lines here. That's fine. We'll leave the light tanks behind for now. But the heavy tanks as well as the mechanized infantry is going to... In fact, we're just going to get the heavy tanks deployed because otherwise we're running into problems here with for a breakthrough. Let's get them deployed here. Not against Wallonia, no, against France, please. Let's get them deployed here. We got five divisions. We should be able to supply that if necessary, and they will push into France, opening the lines. And we'll send the mechanized infantry to assist with the breach once we have made the way through. But we have everything. We have everything deployed in. We have everything deployed in the air, and we are as ready as we're going to be. We've got some railway guns in position here. Well, that's a Polish one, but I think we're sending a few of our own. So there's definitely enough railway guns in the area that we can begin offensive operations, and we will see if it comes to it that France actually launches the assaults in earnest. I am planning to defend a little bit at first, but it looks like they might even be relatively thinly spread here along the lines. So it might actually be not a terrible idea to immediately begin offensive operations as soon as we have the tanks in place. The renewed American trade has ended, obviously, and we have the first naval battles here. We have sunk a Portuguese submarine. So they are clearly active in the region, and the Italians as well. But I don't think we have any supply lines necessarily here. So our aircraft are beginning to hunt down the enemy. We have a massive aerial superiority over the a massive aerial superiority over the territories, and this should not be a big problem. Where did I end up? I've got 5. No, these are the naval bombers. Where did I end up having these? Yeah, but we've got some close air support that we can bring forward, so we need to bring these forward in as well. They are exercised enough as they are, so we're going to begin the northern France incursion once the tanks and the close air support are in place. How did things start looking in China? They actually seem to be holding the line despite our absence, which is good. But once we have additional troops available in the Far East as well, then where was I deploying these? I might actually deploy these. No, we'll leave them on the European front. We've got a lot more troops to build up, but we will get there eventually. All right. Can we launch advances now? I think we're going to plan this out a little bit with the Fifth Army, and their task, and then they can take off, would be to take Lyon and Avignon. So let us draw up the plans here. So far, no French incursions, but just more threats breaking off. And here, the first combat is happening in Congo now, by the looks of it. But we have no further insights. So we're still waiting to get these troops onto the border. I was thinking 2 more Portuguese submarines in the Mediterranean. We do have a light fleet in Naples, and we're still waiting for additional ships to arrive for that to be available. Given that we are controlling the Suez Canal, this should not be a problem, and we are not officially at war with Japan, so sending them over from places like Vladivostok should not be an issue either. And we do have the fleet in Petrograd, which is still refitting. But once they are done refitting, we will probably send them out into the North Sea to begin. We haven't seen anything from the French. Do we have a little bit more intelligence now of the French? We know that they have a fair amount of divisions. They have 3 to 4 battleships, a good number of destroyers, but their submarines, light cruisers are few in between. I think we can probably take on the French Navy. The bigger question is what are the Americans going to do? Because the Americans are going to be the biggest threat. We will eventually send operatives to the States once we have actually liberated our captured operative. But for now, things are still very much up in the air. All right, troops on the move, and it looks like these divisions once again need to be re-railwayed. That happens at times. And the Guards infantry, the Naval Guards infantry has been completed. I want to go through a few more of these. We can get some military factories by the Detroit on Volga, and we have a very experienced Marines division with an armored recon company. This is a different template. That is, I think, a different template. Not quite the same as what we have here, but it is a division. We'll see what we do. We'll leave them in Petrograd for now, and we'll see what we do with them later on. But for now, we'll just leave them in Petrograd. I still have to assign somebody to the 10th Army. Still have to make up my mind here. I could send Shatilov, although he is a combined arms expert. That is not quite the right. I could send Ledvitov, somebody who is doing reasonably well with. Who's doing reasonably well with the. I need somebody with cavalry experience and who's doing reasonably well with supply. So Shatilov, yeah, he's a cavalry leader. The combined arms doesn't help, but he is a cavalry leader. He has experience with that. So we'll send him. This one goes to the European theater. And we do need a field marshal in charge of the African section. We still have a few of them available, but I do have to check the other armies as well. So let me see who is most qualified for this, because I would love somebody as well again with cavalry. Ideally, I'd actually take Wrangel, because he has a cavalry. He's a cavalry leader, which means that he would be, he has the defensive doctrine, which isn't ideal. I would love someone offensive as cavalry leader. I'll have a look who we can assign as field marshal. I might have to promote somebody if I can find someone who we can assign as field marshal, ideally. In the end, I have decided to promote General Tolstov to field marshal, because he already has the cavalry leader. And we've got 2 available traits. So what I can do is I can give him the offensive doctrine, which will allow us to be more aggressive. Do I still have? Yeah, I still have. And I can give him the cavalry expert, which means he gets 10% cavalry defense. So he's going to be specialized for the African theater. And Shatilov himself is taking on these troops, some of which are actually moving towards. I think these are the divisions that are going to ship out. I would prefer them not to ship out this way. Actually, I haven't paid attention to that. These are probably the divisions that I've sent to Nigeria. So we do have to be. I prefer them not to go through the channel if possible. Let's see what we're hunting down there. Currently, convoys. And we have been extremely effective in sinking Portuguese submarines, although we have and enemy convoys in the Mediterranean. So hopefully the Portuguese submarine threat is going to be mostly eliminated sooner rather than later. Sending them through the Atlantic is actually less ideal. I would prefer them to become. I might redirect them. I'll prefer them to go through. This is neither of which is ideal, honestly. We could go through the Mediterranean, but then we'd pass by the French. We could go through. We could go across the Horn, but then we would pass by the Portuguese. I think that's the lesser danger. So I might send them to Mombasa for now. Can I send them to Mombasa? It appears I cannot send them to Mombasa. Let me figure that out. And that's why that actually is inaccessible Ethiopia. We've got the Ethiopian border in the way. Kenya and Egypt don't actually border on each other, so that's why we can't. Anyway, we'll send them to Nubia instead, and then they can take the sea route across along the Horn of Africa. That should be the better way to do it, rather than risking clashes with the French. All right, we will see if we can make our way eventually into Congo, which not much appears to be happening there on the front lines so far, but we're hunting enemy convoys in the Mediterranean, which is a good start. We know that there's a reasonable number of enemy shipping in the Mediterranean, but once the fleet here is going to be complete, then I think we'll be in a position to dealing with them. We've begun raids on troop transports, I believe. These look like Irish troop transports bringing enemy divisions over into France. We don't have a clear intelligence network yet in France to decide where actually we need to how much opposition we're facing. But the first tank divisions are in place. and we're just beginning with some plan preparation. I don't have the command power for a staff office plan. We're not necessarily in a rush. We are dominating the air for now, and shooting down a few of the remaining French fighter craft. But what we can do is launch some probing attacks, especially with the heavy tanks here once they're there. I think Verdun is going to be our first. It's going to be our first assault. By the way, where did I put the 14th Army? Ah, they're still in transit. That's why I don't see them. Yeah, so we're still waiting for these to come back. Okay, we're starting to get some intelligence here about French deployments along the lines, and so far there have not been any massive reinforcements from the rest of the Entente. So we might actually have a window to rapidly advance into France before American and Spanish troops arrive in large numbers. So let's have a look at the southern front. Nice obviously would be a first target. Let's begin with a mild probing attack. We've got some mountain divisions here, and see if we can. Have we not called Italy into the war? Okay, let's call everyone. Yeah. Yes, I actually need to call everyone into the war. So that is going to take a while. But the whole Moscow Accord is now responding, and once that is the case, we will begin offensive operations against the French. Can we now? Yes, we can. So we'll take on this position here. We'll leave one division behind. See if we can encircle Nice and take that out with a combined operation. Yeah, the French defenders stand no chance. Meanwhile, the Entente's expansionist and colonial policy continues. The Australasian Confederation claims West New Guinea. Australasian government, pursuing a revanchist policy which it calls the Anderson Doctrine, has laid a claim on the western part of the island of New Guinea. While they cite that the region is integral to their security needs, truly they have no claim to it, and this is merely further evidence of their expansionist, imperialistic policy. Yes, that means we are potentially going to have to re-liberate the Pacific. Right now we absolutely have no forces there. Congo asked for a non-aggression pact. We will absolutely accept this because we are coming to the aid of the Congo. And we have the troops, I believe, now in line here. So unfortunately, we still can't move into Congo. I am surprised by that. We can't send expeditionary forces. We can't send volunteers. And for some reason, we can't enter. We might have to ask for military access. Yeah, that's what's been missing. Okay, let's get military access from Congo, and then we should be able to deploy these troops towards the capital and hold the line against the Portuguese. All right. Meanwhile, vicious air bombardment in the central Mediterranean, where we keep sinking Portuguese transports, Portuguese submarines, and some transports. There are naval invasions going on, so we have enemy shipping. We have enemy shipping potentially. I'm not sure where from. Probably from France. Planning to go into Greece. We obviously have the Australians planning a naval invasion into New Guinea, and we have another naval invasion plan into the Balkans. That's why we are moving shipping here. The problem is we currently don't have the heavy hitters. We mostly only have, we've got one Nakhimov. We're still waiting for two of the Nakhimovs, and we still have some refits going for some other ships. So they're not. The Navy is not quite ready yet, but in the meantime, the Air Force is, and will be using our naval bombers to keep the Tyrian Sea clear. But we might also have to clear the... where are they planning to go? Central Balkans. Okay, so they're planning to hit Albania, and they're planning to hit Greece. So these two air zones are actually more important almost. We may split. We may send them south towards Palermo. From there, we should have better range. And do we have? I might actually, given the situation in the Mediterranean, I might actually send the naval bomber wings from the Pacific over. So let's assign these to the European theater for now, and we will bring these. Have I got them selected? Yeah, we'll bring these across for now towards the Mediterranean, and we should be able to. We'll bring them to Palermo, and we should be able to cover all three sea zones for any kind of potential naval aggression there against our positions. We have sunk another Irish convoy in the Channel, and it looks like Persian divisions now are beginning to launch attacks here. That is, the Svyatogors are not quite completely ready, but this gives us a bit of an indication of what the French have here, and it's basically just some infantry, really. They are regularly trained by the looks of it, but not particularly well entrenched. So I think we can cut through these without too much trouble. In fact, the Greek are actually already beginning to take on the French. So this we can start the breakout now towards Reims. Let's begin the offensive in earnest near Verdun. We'll start an armored breakout towards Reims. And we will begin pushing the French out of Verdun with infantry, and we will launch I believe at this point we can launch a full-scale assault through Nancy as well with regular infantry, and make sure that we capture Vesoul, and we'll break through the enemy fortifications and take Besançon. That should be a significantly easy attack against French forces which are completely overwhelmed in the air. So I think this is not going to be a particularly difficult war in that regard. Which means I can probably divert. Where was my? Here we can get this single division into the 17th Army. And we can bring them. We can start reinforcing Asia, because I believe we might be able to attack Asia reasonably soon. If we have good progress in France, we've got some Allied assault in Northern Africa. So if we have, and we're already see fighting going on. In Africa on the lines here, Nigeria is going to need additional forces, but they are underway, and we should now be able to bring the African troops. Yes, okay, we'll bring our African troops in initially to defend the vital. What's our supply situation here? Yeah, that's not an awful lot, and we can't build. I believe we can't build railroads here. We can actually. Interesting. It said military access that allows it. I wasn't even aware of that. So what we can do is we can build a railroad connecting the vital supply hub in the far end there. I am not entirely certain how, and I am going to need these as well. I am not entirely certain how long we can hold that position, but it might be worth doing that, because that'll allow, and actually let's make that a level 2 railway. That'll allow us to have better deployments there. Anyway, for now we still have some African troops here which aren't which aren't on the front lines. So we'll send everything onto the main front line because they are very green troops right now. We'll send everything about a single main front line, trying to hold Western Congo and to deal with that Portuguese situation there. Other than that, we also have to deal with Gabon. I might actually redeploy some of these forces to a front line in Gabon, and just make sure that we take Libreville. So we've got 4 divisions here to move towards Libreville. We're going to make that 8 divisions and make no, not what I wanted. We're going to make that 8 divisions, and these 8, and we are going to extend that. No, I would like to extend the front line. There we go. Thank you. And then we've got the other divisions, which are, this is another 8 divisions, so we need to shorten this a little bit. We can reduce that like that, and then draw a front line to eventually capture Luanda and liberate the occupied territories in Portugal. Right, so that should allow, let's bring everyone to Leopoldville for now. And the same goes for these divisions. Make your way there. That should allow for, actually, where are the others? They stopped again. I'm not sure why this happens, but the game has stopped them again. So let's bring them here. And then, depending on what the situation is by the time we get there, we'll be fighting there. We do have the, this is a destroyer designer. We've got the destroyer designer, and that heavy piercing, really not helpful, but I can't actually take the other ones. So it's useless, but I'll take it until we have the other ones. All right. So heavy battles ensuing in the north. I think the Irish are about to land in Boulogne. Let's see if we can cut them off using and bringing the Svyatogors to bear. And that should change. And that should once they reinforce the lines there, that should make should give the French something to think about. The central front is literally crumbling under our attack. So I wish to see the Svyatogors in action if possible. There we go. We've got the second super heavy tank divisions with a total, we haven't even planned these attacks, a total soft attack of 1100, and it's even night. Total defense of 1700. These divisions are absolute monstrosities, and the light French infantry here is not going to stand for this very long. Now the Irish have come in for a counterattack, but these divisions are these are former light tank crews which have been upgraded to the super heavy tanks. They are absolute monstrosities, and the French are not going to be standing against these for very long. We can, I think, use the mechanized infantry, which is reasonably, no, they're not fast. Reasonably powerful, but not very fast. We'll hold them back a little bit for now. I think the tank's actually going to be almost enough to break whatever meager French lines we have here. And just push them back across the whole front line, expand our control territory. The Dutch are going to take care of things in the north. And we have the third armored, which can make an assault. What's the only thing I need to worry about here is supply. Okay, Lille is a supply hub, so not great territory for a Svyatogor, but we are sending infantry in as well. Do not send the Svyatogor into urban territory. All right, let's abandon that attempt. Let's use the infantry to take Lille. In open terrain, these things are unstoppable. In urban environments, not so much. So we do have to be careful with our what we do here. But I think we are rapidly breaking through French lines here and clearing these out. We have additional success reports sinking enemy transports in the Mediterranean, as well. Mostly convoys at this point. And the Italian submarines themselves are busy as well in the Mediterranean. We have been pushed back in Libya on the front. We're not actively engaged on that particular front line because we're currently moving into Congo. But that will be something for a future task. All right, infantry. Rapid infantry assaults are. We can actually get some divisions south from there. We have actually cut off a French armored division here, which have been completely overrun. And I think, the mountain divisions, very experienced troops, are making short work in the urban territory around Nice. And then once Nice is encircled, we can use the infantry from the rear to follow this up and clear out the last remnants of the defenders there. And then I think pushing towards Avignon and Valence. At that point, we can remove the mountain divisions from the front lines because we don't necessarily need them we only need them for specialized pushes through mountainous territory, which is not a big problem. Okay, what's the air situation like? We have, we've got the close air support now in as well, and we actually have some aircraft flying over the Netherlands. Given that, we have a massive fighter superiority. I'll just, how many are they? 100. So we'll just divert 2 fighter wings. These are fighter wings. We'll divert them over the Netherlands, and these are why this they have. Okay, there we go. Now we have a region assigned. Better, much better. Yeah, we have massive aerial superiority. We'll be shooting down these. And I do need 2 fighter wings. There we go. Okay, now we've got 2 fighter wings in place. We're clearing out. We'll clear out these enemy aircraft here without trouble. We'll take Calais. Oh, that's actually open. So once again, the Svyatogors can roll in, and I think can I change the icon of this? Let me have a quick look because that needs to be a significantly. Do we have the super heavy tanks here? There we go. That's what it's supposed to look like. I thought I did that. There we go. The land cruisers are rolling across the French countryside, and the French are running in an absolute panic. Retreating in a. Why can we not? Oh, we can't attack directly there. That's fine. Retreating in an unorganized fashion, while the French are about to lose the 24th Armored, and the rest of the infantry is advancing onto Dijon, and the French are retreating on all fronts here. And I think we are. Let's have a look at the supply routes. Yeah, I think Amiens is. We just have to be careful about the territory. But yeah, in open fields, these things are absolutely monstrous. So we can attack. We can have them lead the assault against French defenses. Forcing a river crossing is difficult, even with these things. But we should have an additional unit available reasonably soon once we have actually broken through towards Amiens. The French are starting to mount localized counterattacks, but uh, weak and weak and unorganized at this point. We've made major incursions into French territory. I think we're close to clearing out the mountain positions here. So we'll get these mountain specialists to run further attacks just to make sure that we are that we're clearing out everything. That we're clearing out all enemy troops in the sector, and then they can be redeployed to other areas. Still fighting battles with French transports, so the Mediterranean is soon going to be under our control. And where are my African troops? That's my bigger concern. I've got 2 divisions here which aren't on the front line. They need to be on this one. Okay, so make your way towards Leopoldville. And we're still waiting for the rest of them to arrive. So far, it looks like there has been an incursion into Nigeria. And that means the troops that are currently on the move, yep, they have once again lost their railway connections. I need these troops in Nigeria sooner rather than later. So move towards Port Sudan, please. And from there we will ship them. In fact, we can probably even ship them from here. That might actually even be the better. Now that we have access, we'll move them. We'll move them to the port near Leopoldville, provided we can hold this port, and I think we will be able to. Then at least once I think the troops will be there in time. Once we can hold the port, then, or I might even change this around. Actually, I might actually take some of the closer. So let's get everything to Leopoldville. But what I'm going to do is I might take 4 of these divisions and send those to Nigeria. So they are going to rapidly forward deploy, and then from there on going to move towards Lagos, and then towards the front lines. All right, so it's a race in Africa. We haven't seen any serious naval engagements. The Svyatogors are operating in northern France, bringing absolute terror to the French, who had never seen anything like this before. And the infantry and heavy tanks at this point are moving through France relatively uncontested, to be honest. This is probably not the best one. Yeah, we're literally just pushing back the defenders, and we're about to reach our first operational goals without much opposition. To be fair, I think the French lines are wide open at this point. So we'll move towards Lyon, and I think if this continues, then Paris is going to fall relatively quickly. I'm still waiting for the 14th Army to actually return to the lines, but they are going to. They're still in transit from the previous operations. So heavy tanks are rolling forward, and France is rapidly collapsing under the unexpectedly heavy attack by the main Russian force, especially in the air. So that should be no trouble whatsoever. Which means that we can probably, once the Detroit on Volga is complete, with the forces that we have available here, let's see if we can. We've stripped the forces in Vladivostok quite a bit, so I definitely would want to have. Do we have a few more naval bombers? Not really. I can deploy a few more scout planes. Let's make that happen. We've got plenty of those, and we've got some close air support here. But and we've obviously got the I-185s still. They're somewhat older fighters. So what I might do is deploy a few fighter wings here and build up a secondary force. The scout planes are going to run aerial recon over the Sea of Japan for now, just to get a bit of a better idea what's going on. And we can probably, with the forces, even with the forces we have available, begin an incursion into Fengtian. We should be able to collapse them on the mainland, and then push into Korea potentially, even without support, even without the naval support. I just have to make sure that we get we have to make sure that these are done refitting first, because I don't want them to be stuck in port. I need to get these out first. So these are the two Sevastopols. They will be done refitting on end of February. So we need to get these out first, and we need to trade for more tungsten still. So let's get more from India. Once these ships have left, then and are clear of the Pacific, then we can begin a land incursion into Fengtian, into Korea, and I think we'll be rolling through Europe rather quickly if the Americans don't get a move on. So we will see if we can force with the European section, if we can blitz through Europe. It's only Ireland that might be the last unsinkable aircraft carrier of the Entente in the theater. But if we can clear out the African positions, blitz our way through Europe, then the American hold is going to become much more difficult, and especially if we start forward deploying into the Atlantic, and we can also begin challenging Japan simultaneously in the Pacific.